everybody. As you can see, we had a minute delay here, and that's because the learning curve for live streams never ends. There's always something new every single time I do this. And today we encountered a new problem. I have Donna Estin here, which you're just going to absolutely love her as much as I do. She is so awesome and so enthusiastic, and I think she's one of the people that I've met that loves knitting almost as much as I do. And everything about it, everything about it. So let's see who's here, and then I'll bring Donna on, okay? And we'll talk about what she has to share. So Alice Carroll, who happens to be 37 Vega Lira, is on here. Hello, Alice. Veronica Stevens from Massachusetts. Susan Day from Newcastle, Washington. Iris Hayden from Washington State. And she just joined TKGA yesterday. Yay! Good for you! I love it. Jane Hart from Wisconsin. Bobby Callender from Northern California. Elizabeth Nielsen from Sweden. Hello, Elizabeth. Christy K. Morris. Hi, Christy. And she has enrolled in the Knitwear Designer course, and she thought it would be nice to meet the teacher. Yes, yes. And you know, I think that once you meet Donna and you see her enthusiasm, you will have no fear of working through this designer certification course, because you'll see right away that she's there to help you every step of the way. Francoise from France, Mary Inman from Georgia, Trevster from Spain, and Fatima from Portugal, Rona Shane from Southern California, Chris Ma from Austria, Margaret, she is M. Snook Chile, but she's Margaret from Chile, and Kay Baker from Sonoma, California, Jean Savoy from Honolulu, Pat Gordon from Derby, Kansas, USA. How hot is there, Pat? You said it's hot. How hot's it in Derby? Let me tell you how. We can always have a competition, because here in Bakersfield right now, it is only 99, but it's supposed to be 106 today. So we have that to look forward to. Harold Jocks from Vancouver, Canada. Judith Andres from southeastern Michigan. Monique Hamill from Montreal. Janet Hubbard from Long Beach. Arlette Garcia from Ontario, Canada. She says it's very humid and hot there today. Renee Petrowski from Atascadero. Hello, Renee. Joy Green from Norfolk in the UK. Susan McBride from Scottsdale, Arizona. Judy from BC. Jackie Rickles, she's one of my friends here in Bakersfield. Hello, Jackie. Luann Wright, another one of my friends that lives in the desert over in Antelope Valley. 7-3 I Margaret from Cincinnati. Sidra from Vancouver. Hello, Sidra. Katharina Continental Combined from Germany. I always love seeing you here, Katharina. Thanks for joining us. Vicki Basham from Monterey Bay. Missy 13208 from East Coast, New York. Thea Stewart from Massachusetts. Hello, Thea. Thea has been following me for a long, long time. I think one of the people who followed me the longest. Amy Hazuka from New York City. Luana Hendricks from Missouri. Judy Snyder from Bakersfield, CDR Butler from very hot Virginia, Claudia Bueno from Berlin. Hello, Claudio, I've missed seeing you. Margaret Gibson from Down Under, Maureen Rush from Bakersfield, Lindy Beer from Omaha, Kat B from Northern California. And Alice Carroll says, be sure to give thumbs up. Yes, we like thumbs up. Donna Dalziel from Essex, Ontario. Lynn Webster from Massachusetts. Robert, hi Robert. Robert's in my boot camp class. He's in my boot camp 4 class. He's taken 4 classes with me, and I love Robert. Gary Moore. Hello, Gary from Michigan. Demetria. Hello, Demetria. Knit and Crochet Tiger from New Orleans. Hello. Deborah Harris from Cincinnati, Diane Joel from Martinez, and I'm going to stop there. There's a bunch more people, but I really appreciate you all joining us. It means a lot to me. It makes me feel loved and that you enjoy these productions that I do. So I'm going to introduce Donna a little bit. Donna Estin is a master hand knitter, a TKGA certified master hand knitter, and she also serves on the board of director as their vice president for marketing. And that's something that TKGA always needed. And even when I was in the group of the people, the review committee, none of us were good at marketing. We all had lots of enthusiasm and great ideas, but marketing is a subset of skills that none of us had. And Donna has, so she comes from a marketing background, and she's now applying it to TKGA. And I think that between that and the classes she's offering, we're going to see phenomenal growth in the number of TKGA members once people learn about us. The problem is nobody knew about us before. We've always been here, but people need to learn about us and find out that we love knitting just as much as they do, and we are not the dreaded wrap you over the knuckle teachers that people used to think that we were. She's also has another certification course that she teaches through a correspondence course that she teaches through TKGA, and it's how to market yourself with your knitting business, how to market yourself and your knitting. And she has just developed this brand new course, a certification course for knitwear designers. And this is an area that's been sorely lacking. And so many people have wonderful ideas and are very creative and can put it into their knitting, but they don't know where to start, or they don't know where to reach out to get the information that they need. And that's what this course is about. And I am so excited that she's going to do it. And I'm going to put her on now and let her talk. We're top and bottom. It's kind of crazy the way this is showing. And if you have an idea, because usually we're side by side, you know how I make us side by side? Today we're not side by side, we're top and bottom. But let me introduce to you Donna Estin, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Donna.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me here today. Even if we're top and bottom, Suzanne does a wonderful job with all of her technical setup, and it's just amazing what you're doing, Suzanne. So thank you. You're bringing all of us closer together, which is good. You know, knitting is a very, well, it can be social, but most of us knit, you know, at home alone or by ourselves or just, you know, in solitude. And so it's nice to have this opportunity to come together. And I think the whole virtual platform makes it the whole world a little bit smaller. I've met so many people from all over, and it's wonderful because we may speak different languages and different cultures and different ways of doing business, but we're at the heart of it, we're all knitters.
Right. And you know what? You know what also is that TKGA is not just an American knitting guild. A TKGA is international. Anyone in the world can belong to TKGA. It's not just for people who live in the United States. It's not the United States Knitting Guild Association. It's the Knitting Guild Association.
And I will tell you, after I finished the master's program, I went on to as you did, served on the review committee. Although you went on to be a co-chair, I did not. But on the review committee, I was so happy to see so many international submissions come through.
Donna, I hate to interrupt you. Can you just talk a little bit louder?
Yes. Is this better? A little bit better?
Yes.
Okay. So all of the international submissions that would come through, and it was, a lot of the submissions on the American end, you'd see the backgrounds from the knitters of when they started to knit, when they really got serious about it. And in some cases, they had not been knitting since they were children. They had just picked it up, you know, when they were older and started knitting. Well, a lot of the ones that came from Europe, they had been knitting ever since they can remember, but on a more taught from their grandmothers and their aunts and their grandfathers and their parents, and so it was sort of in the family. So that was nice to see. But so the course that the certification course that we're so excited about is for knitwear designers. And this is a certification course for people who would like to become professional knitwear designers. If you are ready to start a new career in knitting, if you are already designing, but maybe you don't have all of the pieces to your puzzle together yet, this is a great way to get all of that. It allows you to design better, faster. You can learn the techniques and the skills that you need to produce better designs and get them published quicker. So you're reducing the amount of trial and error time. And there's so many parts to designing. I think that's why I like it, is it's one part creative, one part very technical, and then you got the business side of it. So you're kind of wearing 3 different hats. They're all very different, but they all have to work together. In order to really become successful at this, you've got to have mastered all 3. Like you said, Suzanne, you can be very creative and you can have this amazing idea in your head of what you want to do, and you can draw it out on paper, but you have to have the knitting knowledge and the skills to know if that idea can even work in knitwear, because we're not the same as cut and sew garments. You know, some things you just can't do.
I have one lady. I'll raise my hand like this when someone has a question, okay? So you can stop at an appropriate time. One lady asked, does TKGA offer scholarships for their courses?
We do offer scholarships. Yes, we do have, Binka Schwan is in charge of the scholarship committee, and scholarships are submitted and the committee will review them and they award them. I believe they're awarded quarterly. I can double check that for sure.
How would they contact TKGA to find out about getting a scholarship?
I would send it to info@tkga.org. It's monitored by a couple of different folks on the different boards and committees. So I would send it to there and they'll get it to the right person for you.
And also, if you are interested in contributing to the scholarship fund for TKGA, you can also contribute. You cannot designate, like I have contributed to the scholarship fund. You can't designate who it's to go to. The person still has to apply for the scholarship. But you can certainly, like if, let's say you have a friend that you would like to gift a scholarship to, you can just contribute to the scholarship committee and then ask your friend to apply for a scholarship.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's opened up the doors to, and there's so many different programs with the Knitting Guild. And that's one area that I think that a lot of folks who have done the master's program, you know, when you send in your cover letter for the master's program, they always ask for your knitting background and what do you want to do with this. A lot of people want to knit better. They want to master all of these different techniques, and it's for their own personal satisfaction. Some do want to go on and do as a knitwear instructor. They want to be teaching. They want to be designing. And this course, the certification for professional knitwear designers, is broken into 3 different modules. And the first one covers the inspiration, the creativity part. When you come up with an idea for a design, how do you translate that into a design that works? You know, we go through the selection process from your yarn, your stitch patterns, colors, graphics, larger sizes. You know, we've become the industry right now is standard is up to a 60-inch bust for designing. So when you're designing for publications, that's your minimum that you're going to be submitting to. And when you are designing for a wide range of sizes, you need to think about that at the very beginning, because some designs aren't going to convey in all sizes. So that's something that goes into the very, very, very beginning, is what is your size range and how is this going to work? Testing the concept from swatching to fit, deciding how much ease you're going to use, sketching, creating your schematics, and submissions. How do you find those calls that are out there? What to look for in a call? how to prepare your submission. And module 1 covers all of that. And I will say, just to take a step back, that the course is designed for knitters who are interested in, or designers who are interested in designing for publications such as magazines, books, yarn companies, or self-publishing. So it covers both, and they are different. There's different skill sets that are involved. But the goal is to give you one place to find all of this information. And that's kind of been our challenge in the past in designing, is you're going to all these different sources and you're getting all this information. Some's good, some's not. You have to filter through it. And so this sort of combines it all to lets you learn what you need to learn quickly by having it all under the umbrella of one course. So you eliminate all that wasted time in searching for answers and endless sources. And you know, we've all done it before. We click on a link and we go through the whole thing and we realize, oh, this isn't right, or this isn't what we wanted. So it can be, there's a lot of trial and error that's involved.
So there's one question here, and this is from Fatima. She lives in Portugal, and she is currently working on completing level 3 of the Master Hand Knitting program, and she cannot wait to start your course. But she wants to finish level 3 first. She's super creative, and she's actually a good friend of mine, and I've seen a lot of her work. It's just stunning, her creativity. She's interested in designs from the 40s and 50s specifically. But her question is, how does the course work? By email, by Zoom, by normal mail as TKGA level 1, 2, and 3?
Fatima, it's more, to answer your question, I would say it's more similar to the master's program, but with a lot more involvement. Because with the master's certification, you don't work one-on-one with an instructor. You're on your own. You're doing your own research, doing your swatches, and then you submit everything in, and you do have a co-chair, but it's more of a situation where you are proving your proficiency as a master knitter to the committee. The designer course is by email. So once you sign up, all the documents are emailed to you for the first module. You work at your own pace. You do your research. You provide, there's a lot of, the course document is, I want to say, 30-some pages of information. Plus, you have an appendix of resources, and that's 9 pages of resources, from books, links to industry standards, links to really good examples of ways to do certain things that have sort of embedded. So you have all of this wealth of information. There's not as much research because the course gives you the tools and gives you a lot of information.
Do you have to mail things back and forth, I think is what she's concerned about, because mailing from Portugal takes weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's not inexpensive.
Well, you're going to email everything for module 1. You email everything for module 2. The focus is on design, not really knitting. I should say, the course expects that you know how to knit and finish properly before you do the course. So that's why so much is via email. The email documents are sent to you, you email back. The only exception is in level 3. In order to earn your certification, you do have to prove that you can knit. So on the final design for module 3, you will be knitting an accessory. And that does need to get mailed in for review, and then it will be mailed back to you.
There's another question from Alice Carroll, and she says, is there a prerequisite to complete the Master Hand Knitting program first before taking this?
No. It is, if you're going to design and you're in the master's program, it is the logical next step, but it is not required. I will say that if you are in the program, if you've done the master's program, there is some overlap on your exercises. So for example, you do a fiber report with the designer course, you can use the same fiber report you did in the master's program. You're going to do book reviews, and in the master's program, you have to do book reviews on some design books. One of the books in the Knitwear Design designer certification program is given for you, that you must do a certain book, but the other one is up to you. You can use that same report. You don't need to do anything new. But you don't need to be in the course. People who have come from the professional knitters certification program, it's a wonderful option. Or you don't have to be in any of the certification programs. If you are comfortable in knitting and finishing, you can certainly do this. And a lot of designers do use sample knitters, but you do, as a designer, you have to understand the fundamentals of knitting. You need to understand balance increases and decreases and how to work, because you're putting all of that into your pattern. So you do need to have that knowledge, and this course does not teach you that. We do not go over knitting. It's expected that you do know that ahead of time, but as far as a prerequisite, no.
Excellent. So that's module 1. What's in module 2?
So module 2 is about building the design out. Now that you've got the creative idea on paper and you know what you want to do, module 2 is doing it. It's how do you actually get that from concept to pattern. So we go through gauge. We spend quite a bit of time on grading. I know that's something that comes up a lot. We're starting with the industry standards. And I will tell you, there's not just one place for industry standards. I give you 4 or 5 different sources and different tables and charts to go from to pull those statistics, to pull those numbers, not statistics, the measurements. Setting up your spreadsheets, doing math checks, working with the different gauge, the different fit and the ease. And you'll see, say a pattern will have 2 inches or 5 centimeters of positive ease. Well, that's one body measurement. There may be 8 body measurements that you've got to figure your ease for, and they're all different. They're all going to be different. So we spend quite a bit of time on that. We do yardage, how to estimate your yardage up front, because you're going to need to do that when you submit a design to a publication, and calculating the exact yardage at the end. You'll need to do that as well for your pattern to make sure that it's correct. And I should say, I'm saying yardage, but I could also be saying meterage, because the program is built from beginning to end, both in the imperial system and metric system. So all of the measurements throughout the whole program are in both. The schematics, the diagrams, you pick whichever one you're comfortable working with, and then you just follow that along. So for the designs that you send in, they do need to be in both. I know some publications just want inches, some just want centimeters, and you're going to run into that out in the real working world. But for the most part, the more you're able to combine both, the easier it's going to be for you, and it's going to open up a wider range of knitters as well. If you've gone to the trouble to do both, and then the publication comes back and says we only want one, that's fine. At least you're covered. But anyway, so you don't have to worry about, if you think and use centimeters, you don't need to convert. That's what I'm saying in this program. You can just follow the centimeters part. So laying out the designs.
Margaret from Chile has a question. She says, Donna, can you talk about time limits for each level? Is it renewable as in master hand knitting, or strictly limited as in professional hand knitting?
So you have 1 year from the time you purchase your module to complete it and turn it in. And if you have not completed it within that time, then you need to purchase the module again. It should not.
Is each module purchased separately, like the Master Hand Knitting program?
Yes, each module is purchased separately. And in level 2, we lay out the design. We use spreadsheets and graph paper. Some people prefer each one. I like spreadsheets. Others hate them. So the course presents different options for you because our brains all work differently. So there's different options. If you decide you really don't like all these formulas in Excel or Google Sheets, then you can put your graph paper in and work it out that way. The placement of your patterns, your filler stitches, shaping using increases and decreases, shaping allowances. This is probably one of my favorite chapters is on the allowances, because it talks about, it gives you all of different, from sleeves to armholes, shoulders, cardigans, skirts, dresses, gloves. Where should your, how long should your thumb be in relation to the palm? When you hold your hands down to your side, where does a hip sweater fall? Where does a tunic fall? Where are your neck drops, the different lengths and so forth? So all of these formulas and allowances are listed, which are really helpful references. So you're not guessing, you're not having to flip through and look at other patterns and see what did they do, how long is theirs. You've got the knowledge right there. And that, I think, is part of the exciting for me, is to be able to give a designer the tools that they need to start from within and create something from their own mind and their own heart and their own soul, and do it right, and not feel like you've got to mimic other designers. You don't have to mimic other patterns and look at other people's templates for their schematics, and you don't need any of that. You can just start from yourself and know that you've got it right from the beginning, which is exciting. Charting, we go through charting, shaping set in sleeves. That's a whole chapter in and of itself. And writing the pattern for publishers, working to their work copy, assessing the skill level, the different parts of the pattern, writing out instructions for the techniques. So that's all in 2.
So we have a couple more questions. Ken wants to know, does it work like the master program? You need to resubmit until you pass.
Yes.
But you're more working one-on-one, so it's not like they have to wait until they've completed the whole thing to submit to you, right?
Well, that's what's really different about this. You do work one-on-one with me, so it's not like you sign up, everything is emailed to you for module 1, and you start working on it. But you don't have to wait until it's all done and you send it in. If you have questions, email me. If you get stuck on something, you email me. I will work back and forth with you. Once you email over your materials, I work back and forth with you to make sure it's right. Because the point is, I want you to be able to have that foundation and learn, because the next module is just going to build upon what we've done here. So if you haven't gotten something right, it's so much easier just to tweak it and work it. It's not like you're on your own having to go out and do all the research. So much of the materials it's in the course materials.
This is amazing. I want to take it.
It's when I started putting this together, I thought, holy cow, there is a power of information here. And I thought at one point, is it too much? Like, is this overwhelming? And then I got to the whole business side of it, and I thought, oh, you know what? Put it all in there. If you have to do it, if you need to know it, put it all in there.
And no one else is doing this. No one else is doing this, So the next question is from Demetria. She says, is there a limit on how many people will be accepted into the program in a year, semester, quarter, month?
Not right now. Not right now.
Just wait.
There's not a limit. We're going to see how it goes.
You may have to clone yourself.
The beauty of this, I think, too, is that, once you've started from the idea, you've gotten the pattern, you've gotten everything sent out, it's all done, it takes it a step further and shows you how to really run this as a business. So it takes a while, I think, as an adult to figure out what you really want to do, and then you change your mind or you learn something else. And knitting is something that it may have been part of your life for a very long time, but now all of the elements are coming together, all of the knowledge that you've learned, all of the passion that you have for it can come together and create a whole new career for you. You can become a knitwear designer, work from your home, and really run a proper business. And that's where I think Module 3 is so helpful, because it talks about how to organize yourself from a business standpoint, to set up your computer, set up your files, how to self-publish, creating your own style sheet, how to ask for yarn support, hire tech editors and run test knits, hire photographers, how to work with third-party sellers, and desktop publishing as far as your pattern layout and getting it all ready so that it looks good. Also working with publishers on your submissions, but also on your resubmissions and resubmissions and resubmissions, and you just keep doing it until like you get it published. Yarn advertising, and then working with the publishers' tech editors, because that's a whole different thing. Setting up your shop, your business entity. If you're in the U.S., you'll need an FEIN number, a federal employer identification number. Local business licenses. We're all in different jurisdictions, and our rules are all different, but this tells you where to go. How to register yourself as a business, accounting software, sales tax, how to handle that if you're in the US, or VAT if you're in Europe, or if you're in the US and you're selling to knitters in Europe or Australia, how you handle the VAT. It's not as hard as you'd think. You can completely set yourself up and do this. It's not difficult. You just need to know where to go. Handling money, marketing, contracts, customer relations, policies, how to determine what is a good contract for you from a publisher, when taking into account your rights, your design fees, terms, royalties, what to do when rights revert back to you, what to do when things go terribly wrong. I almost didn't put this in, but I thought, now I have to do this, because sometimes there's an error in your sample. Maybe you knitted it, maybe your sample knitted it. We all take great pride in correcting those mistakes, as we go, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just look at it later and think, oh my gosh, there's a mistake right there and I can see it. So how do you handle that? How do you handle missed deadlines? Yarn shortage. You think you asked for the right amount of yarn and you didn't. So what did you do when some design elements don't work out? And that's the thing when you're working, let me just take a step back. When you're self-publishing, oh my gosh, you can change whatever you want, because until it's out there, it's just this fluid thing. But when you've submitted a design idea to a publisher and they've commissioned that, they're going to put keywords in there as to what they're commissioning, and they do expect that what you give them is what looks very much like the idea you pitched. And you don't have to have knitted that before. You don't ever have to have designed it before, but you do have to have a certain amount of confidence that you can pull it off. Yes. So if you've done something really different, which is what everybody wants, and it's never been done before, and you get into the nitty gritty of it and you realize, oh my gosh, this isn't working out. I don't think I can do this. How do you handle that part of it? Now, hopefully you've asked those questions of yourself before you even sent the submission in. So you've gotten a few of those checks and balances out of the way, and you've really only submitted what you think you can pull off. But some of these questions they come up at the end. And then what's next? Preparing for your next design, reworking your submissions, keeping up with fashion trends, creating your own design aesthetic. As you become more and more involved in the world of design, it will change, but you're starting to create who you are as a designer, and that's very exciting.
So there's a couple more questions. This one is from Inbal. She is from Israel, and she says, this sounds amazing. How do I register?
Well, Imbal, welcome, and you register at tkga.org. And there is a tab for education. And under that tab, you'll see the professional knitwear designer.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
And give the full URL link address.
I'm gonna go to this on my. Let's go to this and look at it. So it's under certification. It's certification for knitwear designers.
There it is.
And there's the description. And here's purchase module 1. And the first module is $150. Each module is $150. It sounds like you get way more than $150 worth from this. And you also need to be a TKGA member, right? So you would need to pay your if you're not already a TKGA member, you would need to pay your $25 TKGA dues, and then you have access to this. This is part of the materials that you have to be a member to have access to.
You do, and from what I understand, you can, from the tkga.org website, you can sign up as a member if you're not a member. And then right after that, you can enroll in a class. You don't have to wait and get anything, and you just right away.
You're immediately a member. Vicky Basham has a question. She says, can Donna give some kind of an idea of the demand for knitwear designers?
So this is what it seems like there are a lot of people out there designing, but keep in mind that there are a lot of people retiring from design every year. There are a lot of people who started designing and thought, I don't want to do this anymore. It's a lot of work. Or people who design, but they don't want to grade all of the sizes that are now being required by the industry. There are obstacles. If you're not comfortable in all of these different aspects of design, it's going to be hard. Now, if you know it, it's a piece of cake. You can move through it because you know what you know what is needed. You know what you need to do, and you have the tools to make that happen. So there's always an opportunity for designers, and I see this all the time with the magazines and books. Last year when the pandemic started, everything sort of shut down. Vogue Knitting went from 6 publications a year down to 2. Knit Scene magazine went digital after being in print. The print magazines that would run 15 different designs were now carrying about 9. So everything scaled back last year. This year it's picking back up. We're seeing more and more design calls come up, and more magazines that may have been physically in print in the past are now going digital, and they're finding out that that's okay. It's not a turnoff. People like having that digital option. They don't like having the stacks of magazines in their closet that they have to keep up with. Digital's okay. Yarn companies are, I think, the biggest area for growth, and they are having so much of a demand for designs for themselves. So you've got all of these new yarn companies that are coming out, from hand-dyed yarns to small places that are just one person owning, but they want designs for their yarn. It's really hard sometimes to see, especially when it's a hand-dyed yarn, how that beautiful skein is going to look worked up. So we see a lot of design commissions that are coming out of the yarn industry as well. So I do feel like that there's quite a bit of a demand right now. And like I said, even from 5 years ago, some designers that I work with, they're maybe not doing it anymore, or they did some accessories, they did, a few things that they like the shawls, they like socks, and then they kind of got out of it. So I think there is that turnover, and if you've decided that this is something that you want to do and you're committed to do it and you're committed to do it long term, then it makes sense to go ahead and get the knowledge now so that you're ready for all of these opportunities. That you're not shy. You're not shied away when somebody says they want to commission a design from a size extra small up to a 5X. That's okay. So, yeah, I think there is a good demand for it.
I think that you're going to get a bunch of people signing up today.
It is such an exciting industry. It is. And it's, like I said, I love that you can be creative and you can be technical. I can get my digital sketch pad out and I can sketch things, but then there's times when I'm in my zone in Excel and I'm all about the numbers and the formulas and getting everything just right. And those are completely opposite skill sets. You know, normally you wouldn't think you would do one or the other. And when people ask you what you do, and I tell them I'm a knitwear designer, and they kind of tilt their head like, what is that? And then when you explain that you're not only designing, you're not only coming up with an idea or something, but you're creating the charts and the schematics, and then you're writing a pattern so hand knitters can make their own. People are just, and you're knitting the sample most of the time. It's all of these things that combine that I think keeps it so fresh and so new all the time.
I think it's like architecture and engineering, you know, only you're using yarn.
Exactly.
Is your base, you know, and so it's very to me it's very scientific. I love it because I like to know why does it react to this way, you know, how can I manipulate that to my purpose type thing, you know, the same thing you would be if you were building a bridge or anything else where you want to know the materials you're using and how they're going to react under the situation. It's the same thing. It should be a science.
It should, and you're building stitch by stitch the fabric.
Yes.
You're not taking material and cutting it. You're building everything. And so it's that whole building of it, like you said, you can use increases and decreases to create bias to send your fabric a whole different way. And then what you end up with is something that's completely of your own inspiration.
Exactly. From your heart.
From your heart.
From your heart. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know, I'm amazed that you've put this together. This is like a dream thing. I'm going to take your course. Because my goal is I just like to know all there is to know about knitting. I like to know the history of knitting. I like to know how to knit. I like the effects of knitting. I just like everything about knitting. But some of the areas that have been mysteries to me are what you're covering. And so I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that. And it's all in one place. It's like one stop. Because when I've designed things, you have to learn out when I first started, like what the heck is, you know, somebody reviewing a tech editor. What's a tech editor? I didn't even know what a tech editor was. I didn't know what the tech editor's job was. Do you know what I mean? And then I wanted to learn about tech editing. You have to know these things. You don't have to be a tech editor, but you need to know, because otherwise you're just giving the tech editor something that was mixed up in a mixer and has no organization to it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So all these things, the sizing, when I tried to teach myself sizing, where do you even go to learn that? Where do you go? You know, so each person's out there fishing. It's like you're just fishing for this information, fishing for that information. You've pulled it all together.
I think that too, you know, one thing that I've seen, which I don't really like, is I've seen a lot of the same designs coming out. And this we talk about this a little bit in the program when we talk about trends, is that, you know, there's a design that comes out that's popular, that's selling, and then everyone jumps on the bandwagon, and then everybody's making that same thing, just tweaking a little bit differently. And there's something to be said for that. Yes, when trends are popular, that you want to work with them. But I think that it should be, if you want to design something along those lines, it should be because you truly want to, not because you feel limited to.
Right.
That you feel like you can only design that because that's the template that you have. You can't make another template, or you can't make another schematic because you don't know how, because you don't have the skills. I don't think that you should limit yourself in anything, that you should have all of those tools to yourself, because then you're not relying on what anyone else is doing. You don't, not that you don't care what anyone else is doing. I think that's what's beautiful as a designer, is we all have such a different, we're all bringing our different experiences into our designs. So there may be somebody who designs something completely different. I would never even consider designing it. And I can appreciate that. And I'm just in awe, because that's not anywhere on my radar. And they've done that, and it came from them, from inside of them. So I think that's why designers get along so well, because we think along one line, and we see something else, we're like, oh, that's amazing, because you would have never thought about it.
Exactly.
But I do think that it's really good if you strip down all those barriers. Any reason why you wouldn't design something because you didn't have the skills, get rid of all that. Because once you know how, once you have the skills, once you know where to go and you have the resources, then you can truly look into your heart and your soul and your mind and your wardrobe, open your closet and say, what do I want to wear? What do I need? And start there and come up with your own unique design, and you just make it happen. And I think that's when design gets really exciting, because then we start to see really new and different things that are being put out there for us. Knitters will start to get patterns that are really different, and they'll have all of these different options to choose from. And that's when I think we really take the whole knitting industry and just blow it up, and we make it huge, and we make it open for anything that wants to happen, instead of keeping it very narrow.
Right.
And the way we do that is by empowering the designers and giving them free reign to do that.
The tools they need. And because there are a lot of people that have wonderful designs, they just don't even know where to begin. They need the tools. So Renee Petrowski says, question, will we be able to see some of Donna's designs? Do you have anything to share by any chance?
You can, if you go to my...
let me go to Ravelry. Let me do that.
DonnaEstinDesigns.com, or just DonnaEstin.com. It's easier.
Okay.
DonnaEstin.com. Yes. And that will show you some of my most recent designs. The one behind me is the Catalonia cardigan, which was just in cast on, in the fall issue of Cast On. It's knitting in the row below with a bulky yarn.
So these, I'm showing your website. You can't see it, but I'm showing to the people. These are the pullovers. She has many, many, many designs, and lots of different. I love this Eastport pullover pattern. That is so cute.
I think that was an interweave last year, in the winter.
This one's cute here, Loudon pullover. I like the lace sleeves. And look at these, are all different types. There's some are set-in, some are raglan, And let's look at, and there's several pages of this. So let's look at the cardigans. Super cute. Super, super cute. I like this one.
Everybody wants to design all different things. Some of us gravitate towards one or the other, and the program does cover a wide range, from accessories, sweaters, home decor items, a big variety, a large variety, because I know that not everybody wants to design the same thing. Everyone has their own little niche that they want to create. Some want to specialize in home decor items, and that's great. You can do that. You still will need to learn to grade a sweater for the full size range.
Let's see. Eastlyn Burkholder says, agree, 20 something almost the same thing at the same time indicates that they are chasing each other, making a trend after in-person gets success. So, and you do see that on Ravelry. You'll see somebody put out a shawl with a certain aspect to it that's different. Then you'll see a lot of similar ones come up, you know, in the year after, because it's super popular. So people are buying that. They look and they see, what are people buying? But maybe they even had that same idea already in their mind, and that spurs them to continue their idea. I remember one time when I was reviewing for the Master Handknitter program, we had 2 people doing their level 3 who submitted within a couple of months of each other that their sweater was identical. But they both created it from their own mind.
Wow.
It was just they put the same cables in the same sequences, you know, but they did not copy anybody. It was just a happenstance. It was just a happenstance.
And honestly, you know, when you think about what you mentioned, a cable sweater, if you think about an Aran sweater, there's not but that many cables out there. And there's a lot of cable different, but when you think about it, you're limited in the how many different cables you come up with and the placement. And it's honestly amazing that there's not more of that, Suzanne.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think they were both the same color. You know, it seems to me they were pink. I don't remember, but it seems like they were pink. But it was just a happenstance, you know. Exactly. So when you're making an Aran sweater, you know, you probably want to have a wider cable down the center front, the narrower cables to the side. So how many wide cables are there? How many narrow cables are there? You know, how many of them look good together? Some of them just don't look good together. So it narrows your choices. So, well, I've enjoyed this. Is there anything else you would like to discuss or say? And I'll give people a chance to ask their last minute questions.
The only other thing I would like, I don't know, I may have told you this already, is that as I was putting together the course materials for the different modules, I was keeping a running list of references and links, like a bibliography. And then it sort of expanded, and I thought, well, gosh, this would be a good link for another designer to have. ASTM tables, I'll throw that in there. And then this is something else that they would like to have. Or here's a great article on how to handle U.S. copyright laws. Let's throw that in there. And so this started to develop, and now I've ended up with this appendix of 9 pages of resources with the links. So you get that with Module 1. You can use it through the whole program.
So how long did it take you to create this course?
I've been working on it for about a year.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
So Chris Ma is suggesting, she says, I'd love more patterns for men and kids. Or Chris is a guy, sportive style for men. Sport patterns for men. Sporty look.
Everyone says that all the time. So any of you who are wanting to become knitwear designers or are starting to knitwear design, keep that in mind. You can't send out enough of them. There's just not enough men's sweaters out there. And you think about all the knitters who are home knitting, and there's somebody there saying, what are you going to knit for me?
Right, exactly. And that's my problem, because I knit, on average, I knit 4 or 5 sweaters a year. Well, how many sweaters can you own? You know, so I knit them for my daughter, my daughter-in-law, my son, my son-in-law. I mean, everybody's getting a sweater from me every year. I've got to have some styles for men, you know?
Right.
It widens the ability, because otherwise, you know, how many dressers can you own where you store your sweaters, you know?
And even though when you look at statistics, even though both men and women knit, the majority of knitters are women. They don't all knit for women. They're knitting for
their families,
husbands and sons and grandsons and friends, and yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. I don't see any more questions here. This has been wonderful. And if I could put our pictures side by side right now, I would. But today I haven't been able to figure that out for some reason. But I've really enjoyed having you on here, Donna. I love your enthusiasm. I love that you're filling this very, very needed niche. It's awesome. And I think that
you.
you're going to be very successful with this. And I'm excited to see the people that come out of your program. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well. And I love the way the Knitting Guild has structured their courses, because you can truly work on this at your own pace. You get the information, and it's a race between you, and you're completely flexible. And I like that format, and I like the way that the information is absorbed, and yeah.
And
they're a great organization.
One of the things that came out of TKGA for me is just meeting the most awesome people, like you, and then since I've been in it and teaching and all that I do, I've met, because of knitting, meeting people from all over the world. Oh my goodness. And you're just going to meet so many awesome designers. You are. It's going to be, it's awesome.
It is. It's a wonderful industry, and for a long time. They don't come and go.
Right.
Once you meet them, they're your friends for years and years and years.
They're your people. It's how you find your people. Yeah, they're your people. So, okay, well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to quit the live stream, but I'll talk to you for a second afterwards, okay?
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.